Now what? Uh-oh. Hey everybody, welcome back. What I wanted to do for a long time now is make an educational video for all the smokers out there who want to transition to vaping. And what would also be an added bonus is for those people who are so far disconnected from smoking or vaping, so I can share some information with you and dispel some of the misinformation that's being generated by the media and the government concerning vaping. The typical story you might hear from a current vapor is not unique. They wanted to quit smoking, they tried another product that didn't work out for them, or the side effects were very unpleasant. They came across another vapor who shared some information with them, or they simply took it upon themselves to go to a brick and mortar shop where an employee of that shop helped them through the process, sold them a product, and then they were off to the races, hopefully never to look back. So now, let's talk about the devices. Typically, when a smoker decides to quit smoking and make that transition to vaping, they visit a brick and mortar vape shop. They can also purchase their device from an online supplier. There's an advantage and disadvantage to going to a brick and mortar vape shop. First, you encounter an employee whose primary responsibility is to sell their product. That being said, however, typical employees of vape shops really do care about their clientele, and they do a good job of guiding that smoker through the experience of purchasing their first vaping product. A vapor device or e-cigarette is a handheld battery-operated device that simulates smoking without the combustion of tobacco. Putting it simply, a vaping device or electronic cigarette is an electrical circuit that is closed via a mechanical switch. Once fired, the switch heats a coil. The coil is wicked with cotton, and the cotton is infused with an e-liquid. At that point, the liquid is vaporized into an aerosol that can be inhaled. Before we get started, it's best that we understand the terminology involved. These devices are collectively referred to as mods. A mod gets its name from the early days of vaping, where individuals would fabricate their own devices out of pre-existing materials. Some of those materials included flashlights, Altoid cans, anything that could be used to conduct an electric current. Because these devices were modified from their original intent, the term mod was used collectively to refer to these devices, and now the name has stuck. These devices are referred to as atomizers. Depending on the type of device, there are several different types of atomizers. This atomizer is called an RDA, or a rebuildable dripping atomizer. This device is an RTA, or rebuildable tank atomizer. These atomizers are standalone devices that go inside of sub-ohm tanks. Now let's speak about each one of these atomizers independently. In the case of the RDA, or the rebuildable dripping atomizer, it requires the end user to wrap his coil around a tool, causing it to have an inner diameter and a coil's shape. That coil is then inserted into the deck of the rebuildable atomizer, and then it is wicked with cotton. Once cotton is applied to the coil, liquid is just simply dripped onto the cotton and the coil at the same time. After that is accomplished, the end user then vapes the liquid that he has dripped onto the coil. This requires the end user to drip liquid onto the cotton when that cotton becomes dry. Next up, the rebuildable tank atomizer. The major difference between the rebuildable tank atomizer and the rebuildable dripping atomizer is that instead of constantly having to drip liquid onto the coil like you do in the dripping atomizer, you fill a tank full of your e-liquid, and through capillary action, the cotton wick feeds liquid to the coil, and then you're vaping it. When your tank is empty, you simply refill the tank with your e-liquid. There's a large financial benefit to the end user for any rebuildable device like the RTA and the RDA. You don't have to go and spend money on expensive coils when yours go bad or you run out. You can simply wrap your own coil, wick the cotton through it, and apply your e-liquid. Another large benefit using a rebuildable device over a device that has proprietary coils in it is that after a while, companies that continuously build sub-ohm tanks that have their own coils will stop making those coils, forcing the end user to go and buy another sub-ohm tank and then use a different set of coils. In the case of a sub-ohm tank, it's a simplified version of the rebuildable tank atomizer. The simple part is you don't have to build anything. You simply take the coil out and you go and buy a replacement coil from your local vape shop or an online distributor, insert the new coil, and then fill your tank back up. Too easy. The coils that you get come in a variety of different resistances and different build types, from airflow to a whole bunch of other things. One of the downsides, again, like I find with sub-ohm tanks, is that a company can stop making the coil, and then you'd be forced to go and buy another sub-ohm tank. There are some companies out there that use other companies' coils. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know that there are some. One of the companies out there that's notorious for continuously pumping out new sub-ohm tanks is Smoke, and none of their coils work with any of their previous sub-ohm tanks. But don't get me wrong, I like Smoke products. I just prefer that wasn't a thing. Now, I would be completely negligent if I didn't talk about all-in-one starter kits. And there are several to choose from. I don't happen to have a Juul, but I have something very, very close. Now, when I talk about close, I just mean in its design. And we'll talk about the differences between products like Juul and Enjoy and Blue, as opposed to something like this Smoke Infinix. The major difference between Juul, Enjoy, and these products are Juul and Enjoy are closed pod systems. Now, even though some of these devices have top-style tanks, they are sometimes referred to as pod systems. Now, the pod being that this device comes off and you can replace it with another device that you've filled yourself, as in the case of these devices. An all-in-one system is really simple. The thing that makes all-in-one systems very unique as opposed to anything else is that all of them have internal batteries that you charge via USB. They have a topside refillable tank that sometimes you can change the coil, sometimes you can't. Again, the major difference is this is an open system that allows you to fill this with your e-liquid of choice. A closed pod system does not allow that to happen. Any one of these devices are a very good segue from smoking to vaping for anybody wanting to make that transition. Very little thoughts involved with it. You go and you buy the device, you buy your choice of e-liquid, and it has a tighter type of airflow that is very comparable to cigarette smoking. With these devices, you're not going to blow massive clouds unless you get the device that has a coil in it that allows for a less restricted type of airflow. Now let's talk about these things. Batteries. Uh-oh! So the batteries that you can get to power your vape device are either internal or external. The external batteries come in a multitude of different sizes. The two that I have here are 18650 lithium ion battery and a 2700 lithium ion battery. Battery safety is very important, and when you buy these batteries for your vape devices, you should not just stick a solo version of this in your pocket. What you can do is buy a case for your batteries. If you don't have a battery case, you can simply, and only one at a time, don't put these together, just don't put them together one at a time. You know, if you had to do that, just get a little sandwich baggie and do it in these numbers if you're going to put it in your pocket. There have been many instances where the batteries have exploded in somebody's pocket because when you throw these in and out of a device or in and out of a charger, a tendency for the wrapping to wear away is very, very good. You want to pay close attention to your wrapping to ensure that none of it's all jacked up or janky. Should that be a thing, you can either go to a vape shop or even go to Amazon.com and get battery wraps, get a heat gun, rewrap your battery, or simply take it to Best Buy and recycle the battery and get new ones. One of the main causes that likely batteries have been known to explode is that somebody will put one of these batteries in their pocket with loose change or any other conductive material. On this battery where the wrapping has been worn away, that's the negative portion of the battery and that's the positive, and that easily can be bridged with a conductive material. Should the negative and positive contacts on the battery be bridged, it'll short circuit the battery, causing it to go into thermal runaway. And that's likely what happened to this poor fella. Even puncturing the battery could force a bridge between the negative and positive contacts in the battery. And recently there was some information about parents going to buy a whole bunch of Juuls and then videotaping their children, destroying them in the most creative ways possible. Maybe they should watch some of these battery safety videos. Please don't do that. Uh-oh! You know, I bought a shock collar for my dog one time and I decided I wasn't going to put that on my dog until I tested it on myself. Once I tested it on myself, there was no way I was going to put that on my dog. That thing hurt. My roommate at the time had a really good time testing that on me. I'm sure that my wife, had she got the opportunity, would absolutely love to test that thing on me. Maybe the parents of these kids who are buying these Juuls should go ahead and destroy those batteries before they let their kids do it. Uh-oh! So that's a lot of information all at once, isn't it? It's certainly not all of the information I could have provided to you, but I will continue to add more content and give you information in later videos. If you liked the information that you saw today and you found it helpful, please subscribe to my channel and select that bell icon so you get notifications when new videos come up. Please like and leave a comment should you have any questions. If you're one of them smokers who's on the fence to go from smoking to vaping, I encourage you to wholeheartedly dive headfirst into that. Smoking combustible tobacco products is the #1 leading cause of preventable deaths, not only in the United States, but in the world. So staying a smoker is just wicked up. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.